Alright friends, so welcome back to the channel and the final part, well no, actually it's part 2 of the carbon fiber wrap on the splitter. It's looking actually fairly good, but as I pass a hand on top of it, I can feel some minor imperfections. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna proceed again and do the sanding of 180, 220, 400 and then 600. Now the 600 I'm gonna do it wet sanding. So I'm gonna be using a little bit of water and finish sanding off the splitter. But so far actually it looks fairly nice. Okay, so I finished grinding or sanding with a 180, 200, and 20 and 400. Now I'm gonna do the wet sanding with the 600 grit. Okay, so I have finished again wet sanding and then just cleaning the surface with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol. Make sure there are no dust particles, because I'm going to apply most likely the next to last coat of epoxy, then let it dry again 24 hours, and then polishing with a polishing compound. This is what I'm planning to use, the scratch eraser kit by Meguiar's, and so that basically will take care of any imperfections that may be left in the on the splitter. And after that, then basically will be the last coat. So about 48 hours from now or so, I'll be done with the splitter. And as you may have noticed, I've spent more time in the area that is going to be exposed once I mount the splitter. So that's where I have sanded the most to make it the smoother that I can. And then again, I mix the resin and the hardener, and we'll apply the coat with a brand new sponge brush. Another closer look. It looks very nice, very shiny. Like I said, in some of the imperfections, even the front, I'll be able to remove later. Like for example, the excess epoxy that dried up in form of basically, like drops. I'll be able to cut those off with my Dremel tool. But other than that, it's looking good. Okay, so we're almost done. Well, I don't know about we. I'm almost done. I'm gonna do apply the Scratch X 2.0 by Meguiar's fine scratch and blemish remover, just to again smooth out the surface and remove any blemishes or scratches. And I'm gonna use the rotary, the drill. And then after that, I clean it with alcohol again, and I will apply the last coat of resin of epoxy on top of the splitter, and that should be it. Okay, so now remove the wax with a microfiber cloth. And now I'm gonna apply what should be the last coat of epoxy. Okay, so once again, 30 milliliters of the resin. And one thing that I learned obviously trial and error, is that you add the resin in one of the measuring cups, 30 milliliters, and then you add the hardener in the other measuring cup. And you put both in a third cup. This is the best method, because that way your measuring cups won't get the epoxy and the hardener in the same place, and basically the epoxy can dry inside your measuring cup. Okay, so that's it for that, and we're gonna mix again. I'm using a brand new sponge brush. I'm gonna apply again what is the last coat of the epoxy. Okay, so I'm basically done applying the last coat of the epoxy, and you know, being the very first time that I do this, I'm fairly satisfied with the end result. Obviously I'm gonna let it dry for another 24 hours, but you know, it has the shine, you can see the fiber, it is well epoxy. And like I said, I spend most of my time just on the front side of the splitter, because that's the part that is going to be exposed. The back side, I don't really care. I mean, you can see some bumps on the back side, but I really don't care. Here is more noticeable, but I really don't care about that. So yeah, you know, for again being the very first time, yep, I take it, especially with the savings. As I said, you know, brand new one is 400, 500 up. This one with all the materials, less than $100, and you obviously the time that you have to put into it. But I think it's good. All right, friends. So I hope that you enjoy the making of the splitter with the carbon fiber cloth. I enjoyed it, even though you know it takes a while. You have to be patient, and there are certain things that I learned throughout the way. Again, being my first time, as I said, measuring cups, use one for the epoxy, for the resin, one for the hardener, and then mix it on a third cup. Another thing is make sure that you know that between coats it is totally free of dust, because any dust will be caught between the two coats of epoxy and it could be noticeable. I know that in a couple of areas I do have some specks that look like dust got trapped between the coats, but I mean, this is my garage, not a atmospheric control environment, but as I said, I think that I'm very satisfied with it. Maybe I overdid it on the coats. Maybe just 2 coats may be sufficient, with a polishing in between, and then maybe a third. I think that I went for almost 5 coats, which, as I said, may be overdone. But again, my first project. So again, hope that you enjoyed it, you liked it. Give a thumbs up. Any comments? On the part 1, I barely got 2 comments. So I don't know if this is something that is of interest to you. Okay, so yeah, the next will be basically the installation. Actually, no, I have to do the wrap on the wings or the winglets of the splitter, but I'm not going to do a video on that one. You basically know the process now. So once I finish that, then I'll do the installation video. Okay, so until next time, peace.